Crop growers will have the opportunity to get a checkup on pressure regulators from their irrigation systems at this year's Husker Harvest Days. Nebraska Extension's Chuck Burr is part of a group of educators who will be testing those devices for free at the event. He explains how regulators work and why producers might be interested in bringing them along to Husker Harvest Days.
A pressure regulator is something that a lot of irrigators don't think about. It gets put on the irrigation system with the sprinklers, and as long as there's not water spraying everywhere, they assume it's working correctly. So we'd encourage producers to bring a couple regulators in for each span of their pivot. So if they have a 7-tower pivot, bring us about 14 or 15 regulators in. We'll test them to make sure the regulator's still working correctly, and if it is, that should ensure that they're doing a good uniform job of applying irrigation water. So a couple things can happen to the regulators. There's a kind of a rubber diaphragm in there, and that can rupture over time, and it'll start spraying water out the side of the regulator. If you're not looking closely, you might think that's water coming out of the sprinkler and just adding to the pattern. The other thing that can get bad with the regulator is a spring in there. And what happens, it gets old and weak, and it's not reducing the pressure like it should be. So the pressure on your irrigation system actually drops, and the flow rate actually increases because of these regulators failing. Then if you've got any hilly terrain at all up on the hill, you're not going to get enough pressure up there to apply water, so you're going to put on less, a lot more water applied down in the lower areas. So we start getting differences in the amount of water we apply. You make several circles with that difference, you start seeing differences in yield.
Husker Harvest Days take place September 13th, 14th, and 15th near Grand Island, Nebraska. The University of Nebraska Lincoln Building is located on 3rd Street.